Harold having the better ground game, especially later on, while Olizar, he's going to need to get air superiority to try and win this match. And we should be getting started very soon, like another 10 seconds or so.
I think that's more than fair. Now, Rang, I have to warn you, I actually... we had a game client restart in this there, guys. Rang and I had to restart actually having to cast the first couple of seconds of this game. Embarrassingly enough, we've just gone through a lot of the introductions, and I just discovered that my recording was not going until just now. But I'm here with Rangru, this is Steel Division 44, and we're getting started in this game already. So, hopefully no more issues as we go forward. Now, Ryan, take us through the initial positions, at least of the British force. How's that matching up against those Germans?
We're looking at the British. They're sending pretty much everything they can up top, which seems like the best course of action because they will have their open ground engagement with all their vehicles, but not much in the middle or down below. And if you take a look at the Germans, it's very, very even, just units all over the place. Lots of infantry, of course, because it is Luftlande. And I believe even a Pack 40 all the way up top, which will prove to be very useful in knocking out British armor at long range.
And let's talk about the initial British armor. So when we talked about this before the replay even got started, we see a lot of Humber Mark III armored cars. Now, what do they bring to the fray that's so much more attractive than bringing infantry-based recon, such as those Recce troops?
Well, the Humbler are pretty good because it does give that fire support, and as I mentioned before, British infantry isn't good, but with regards to armoured, you have a lot of fire support, and the Humbler is pretty damn good at fire support. With 8 HE power, it can have quite a big run into those Count Jaegers. And if you just seen that half-track running into that Bazooka Squad.
Indeed we did, but it looks like those guys might be paying for it with their lives. But as we actually kind of talked about just before that, and I think I'm just a hair behind you, I think I caught up though. These motorized rifles did get a chance to get on out, but looking at the initial massing here, it looks like the Brits will more easily be able to kind of push back the Germans. I don't see a whole lot of 91st on the front lines now, do we?
Nah, so you got one Jaeger squad, a Pack 36, and then a leader, and a Panzerstrecht squad down below, where we're just looking at all this infantry at Harold's bringing up the motorized rifles and regular rifles and half-tracks and fire support. He has a very nice clump up top.
Now, to give you a quick cut in at the same time, I did see a Pack 36 take out an M3 half-track, but that 25-pounder seems to be pounding the hell out of the Pack 40.
Which is exactly what he needs to be doing, because he can only get one Pack 40 in A phase for Luftlande, so if they can knock that out, they will have pretty easy armor range for the rest of A phase.
Indeed. But we are going to see it's 51-49 in favor of the Allies right now. Harold pushing back a lot of the Recce up in the north. Doesn't look like he's got a whole lot going on in the middle, but what do we see down in the south? Anything really happening right now?
Now we got some Jaegers slowly probing in down below. We got rifles, a recon, and a Humbler squad for Harold Alexander, but both sides aren't seem to be too interested down south. I'm thinking Olizar is trying to do his best to try to plug up his northern assault, because that is rather scary, all that infantry and light armor coming right at you.
Now, one thing I'm very interested to see is Olizar's placement of this Pack 36 on the right next to this western. This northern arterial. Looks like he's going to have a great shot in this Humbler.
Yep.
And I imagine about 1 second to see a death here. No, shockingly enough, he's not.
Oh, it's on forward fire. So
that seems to be a slight oversight there, I would say.
Yep.
But we've seen our first bits of reinforcements coming on in and doing. Is that a Stur I see up top? A Stur 42 coming on out.
Yeah.
And this pack just continues to recycle, it looks like, in the meantime. I'm sorry, go for it. What were you going to say?
Yeah, Stu's going to be an interesting choice, because you can only get one of them during A phase for Luftlande, or you can reach the B phase. But
Pack 36 takes out a Humbler. Don't have to cut in too much. I think we're going to see a dead half-track as well in just a second here. Yep, 2 for 2.
Damn,
so please.
Good kills. But
you were saying about the Stu.
The Stu's going to help immensely with the infantry, and also Humblers and half-tracks, they are rather lightly armoured. They have 15 HE, can go a long way, not just crashing, but eventually killing those lightly armoured vehicles. But you see the Cromwell as well from Harold Alexander. So that's a good unit to pick up, that Cromwell Mark 6.
Now we are going to see some engagement between those tanks, it looks like already. The assault gun probably going to have the worst. Oh no, wait a second. The assault gun looks like it actually outguns that Cromwell by just a tiny little bit here.
Yeah, just slightly on the HE power, and the Cromwell does have worse armor, but I think just both armor values are just going to kind of be lobbing HE, and some angry insults, and that's about it.
Now, one thing I do want to point out, we talked about this actually the first time we tried to cast this particular game, is we have an MG34 in the Manor House in the center part of the field. We talked about having great sight lines there, but at the same time, do you think it's really going to add a lot to this particular engagement, or is it just going to be a little bit of extra noise, so to speak?
I think it's just going to be good for Olizar for a nice buffer. He spent 13 points to completely cover the entire middle mansion area, which is good bang for your buck. And if someone does try to attack through, he does have time to try and bring up reinforcements to try and buffer in that mansion. And the Stew's getting rushed by the Humbler.
Yes, I'm just going to make that comment, but at the same time, that Pack 40 is there, and he takes them on out. So a nice little 1-2, I would say.
Yeah, and the Humbler almost managed to get side shots from the Stew, and yeah, would not be good at all.
Let's take a quick look at that. So they have 3 on the side. So yes, at that point, we can probably expect to see penetration from the Humbler. But right now, we're actually seeing the Cromwell falling back in kind of a little bit of disarray, I would argue.
And a second Cromwell as well being brought up, which I'm guessing is trying to knock out the Stew.
That's true, and this one actually has some AP ammo for a change too. It's not just going to be firing, loud noises here.
Indeed, it's really just he's pinning down the pack gun, which is immensely important because the pack gun is one thing stopping that Commander Cromwell from doing any damage. And if he moves that Cromwell up, he can kill the Stew if he doesn't get suppressed, of course.
Now, one thing I want to talk about real quick on the southern side of the map, you see Pack 36 has gone down, but as well as a recce squad out from the motorized guard division here over here. But in the meantime, we're going to see a Stew apparently facing the wrong direction.
Oh yeah.
Against a Humba, so I'm a little bit concerned, I'd have to say, for both sides here. Both the Stew as well as the Humber. It looks like the Humber is probably going to take the worst of this engagement, though, in just a second. Oh, never mind. Not sure how that worked out.
Manages to move back just in time, and the rifles are slowly engaging the Faustjäger Führer, and the Faustjägers aren't in range or position to deal with the rifles. And yeah, it seems like Howard's really starting to focus on much more on the southern side now, realizing just how weak it is.
And indeed, I think you're right. He's bringing a few more half-tracks to the south. If you want to pull up where they're going to be ending, we see 2 of them setting up just behind the Humber, basically. And the last one we had the tree line a little bit further back. I don't know if he's trying to set up some sort of secondary defensive line or what the case might be. What are you thinking there?
I think he's going to move the one that's behind the tree line, not by the Humbler, probably try to go northwest of that, open the open field. But as you can see, Olizar's already moving his Faustjäger and Ursat's trooping. And they're not engaging much, but that's good because that has given him extra map control. And it's still out 50-50, which is...
Which we're just sliding over to 51-49 in favor of the Axis here. He is down a few tickets, though, at the same time.
And they are very even in terms of economy for the entirety of the match. Only in B phase is Olizar at a disadvantage by only 5 points. So, of course, with even economies, it's been a rather even match so far.
Fair enough. Let's take a quick look back up here to the north. It looks like the 91st Luftlande, despite having excellent infantry, is getting shoved back pretty much on all fronts here. Which is a little bit shocking to me. I mean, you look at the 91st Luftlande, and obviously, like we said before, the armored vehicles are not strong with this one. But you would think that these Fallschirmjägers would be holding up much better than they are, because these rifles, as well as the motorized rifles, just to the eastern side of them.
Yeah, I think what's helping a lot is fire support units, and also he has a lot of rifles. As you see, one rifle squad is now completely pinned down as the Faustjägers do manage to get into the fray. But that's the Cromwells, you want to try and stay away from them because they can easily put a hole in the Faustjägers.
Now, one thing I definitely keep an eye on is see that Fallschirmjäger Panzerabwehr squad that's just to the southeast of the pin squad there. It looks like we have a couple of guard to armored half-tracks setting up just in front of them. So I'm kind of wondering, are we going to see a couple of quick kills, or will those Panzerabwehrs get found out before that happens?
Well, they may be able to get 1 or 2 quick kills on the half-track, but it's really just about if he can get a first good shot and knock one out, which will knock out half the fire support. And they're down.
Whoa, look back down the south real quick, where we did have a very good kind of setup from these Fallschirmjägers. Looks like the Brits are really pounding it right back into them, securing a surrender from Fallschirmjägers.
They did manage to force the Humbler, well, they stunned it up and got the engine destroyed, so they won't be moving up anytime soon, and the Stew's already firing a ray. But it's really those half-tracks right now from Howard in a good spot. They can all be shot at by the Stew, and then keeping the Faustjägers away. Really just an even defense from both sides.
In the meantime as well, it looks like we are going to see the first air power being brought on into 129 in the north. Might be able to get a good shot out on this Cromwell Mark 6, I'm thinking right there.
Yeah, probably try to go, well, either one would be a good kill, and it's going to be very important to do that as we are getting into B phase, which will allow Olizar to bring up some extra anti-tank options, which is going to be very vital at this point.
By the way, so that Panzer Abwehr Fallschirmjäger squad did go and take out one of those half-tracks. That's one squad of infantry completely down, and it looks like that other half-track is just barely making it out alive. So I don't know who he prayed to or how he did it. But we have a survival right there, and it looks like, oh no wait, the command Cromwell gets killed, crew goes down right there, and there's still 9 rounds left on that 75mm cannon.
That's really risky keeping the 129 up that long, because it's very easy to kill a 129 with just a single plane, even a really crappy plane, or just a piece of AA, which finally Harold is bringing up. So really, Harold should have got a plane or something a little bit earlier, because it isn't a bit ridiculous.
Another Cromwell had just gone down. Now 6 more rounds left in that crazy cannon. You mentioned that it's really easy to take down the 129. No, as the Brits though, what can they really be expected to call on for the Guards Armored?
I believe for the Guards Armored, they don't have many airplane slots, but you can at least get a few Spitfires, and all you need is one Spitfire to try and knock out the 129.
And here comes a third kill coming on out, takes out that Stewart. This guy is the MVP of the game so far, I might have to say.
Hat-trick. That is, he killed roughly over 300 points worth of stuff in one strafing or one sortie with that 129B3. That's huge kills. Oh, Tempest being brought out. And that is going to, easily shoots it down.
And there goes the brave gentleman right there. Now, just to the northwest of his death, we are going to see a martyr being brought in as Olizar takes a couple extra points over here in terms of territory. Now, talk to me about the martyr series of anti-tank destroyers in terms of this game. How is that really going to change matters, or will it not do anything at all?
Well, the mortar is a Pack 40 on a set of tracks. It's very likely a armored mortar 1, 2, or 3. They're very similar, but they do have range advantage on Cromwells. If Harold does bring up either Achilles or Fireflies later on, they can easily take out the mortars, but just as long as he keeps his mortars at range, doesn't have to do anything too fancy pantsier of him, he should be rather safe. And he is using the Stew up front to do the infantry killing. So you got a nice combination of the anti-tank mortar and the infantry support Stew up top.
Not to cut in too much real quick, but that Stew on the bottom has definitely reversed the entire British position. We had seen an anti-tank and a couple of half-tracks going on down to that specific beast, and he still has pretty much half of his ammo load still in him.
Yep.
So it looks like that bulge from the Brits is starting to get squeezed on out. How do you think that particular position looks? Is it a little bit scary right now for Harold Alexander, or how is that really going to kind of peter on out here?
It's pretty scary because Howard has a good spot, and if he gets pushed back, you kind of have that little choke point entering into the rest of the southern sector, and trying to push back into that choke point after you already lost it can be a bit of a pain in the butt. He just needs a vehicle. He had a tank down here, but in the B3 kind of made it disappear, and just with rifles, he is not going to be able to hold. He just needs some fire support vehicles and something preferably to try and kill the Stew.
And there goes another actually infantry squad right there. So the Stew almost as good as that 129, although definitely taking out a lot less in terms of overall pieces. Now, it looks like we're going to have Typhoons coming on in, and bombs are away. Questions point out that Fallschirmjäger squad, he's going to get pinned down and get forced back, but he seems like he's bravely sticking his ground anyway.
And even though Olizar's pushing rather hard, he's bringing some grenadiers in. But I feel like he needs maybe 1 or 2 more infantry squads, even just Ursat's troopers to try and break through the southern side. He's got a Humbler now, pinning down the Fallschirmjägers, and killing every Fallschirmjäger is going to be down important.
Indeed. You see, ME-109 is a belated column, but a Tempest right in that area as well. Will this ME-109 going after him? Yes, looks like we're going to have a fur ball up in the air, I think.
Yep, and the 109 does have better turn radius, while the Tempest is much faster. Howard's just going to get out, which is probably the smartest thing, because Messerschmitt cannot even attempt to try and catch up.
Shoot, in the meantime, is going to probably push... Oh, no, never mind. Going on down, the Piat actually doing something, and we're getting surrender as well.
That really changed things up down below. And the Humbler, he's just going to have a field day. Ursat's troop and MG34, nothing can stop him. We've got the Panzer 3 now, to try and shore things up. But yeah, it was a good kill.
Well, that thing brings in something that I definitely want to talk about. So it's a game mechanic that we don't often get really a lot of visibility with. Talk to me about armor penetration and how that works in terms of heat ammo.
Yeah, heat ammunition, it doesn't actually tell you the exact stats, but really, for the Piats, it will pretty much kill everything frontally unless it's really heavily armored, like the King Tiger, for example. I think you can kill a Yank Panther from the front too. But the main thing with the Piat is that it is wildly inaccurate. I've seen matches where a dude shoots 2 or 3 times against a single French tank or captured French tank, and it does nothing. It misses every single time. So having that first shot land on the stew was really a bit of God's work here in terms of RNGs.
Indeed, indeed. I think we're going to leave this beleaguered southern front. Actually, you know what? We're going to hold on here just a couple more seconds. It looks like the last little bit of infantry is getting pushed back. Although we are going to see some Tempest coming on out, and I think the ME-109 did buy it.
Yeah, it did buy it. I mean, 2 planes on 1, and the Tempest can easily chase down the 109. And the problem is, with Olizar, he doesn't have any AA to give his 109 a good escape route.
And actually, we're seeing some very troubling development here. It looks like Olizar is taking a 55 to 45. He's up 120 tickets, and that lead is growing.
Yeah, slowly across 1.
Looking really quickly up into the northern side, we're going to see a couple of 81mm stovepipes being called in by the Germans, as well as an IG-18 that's been in for a fair bit of time. Now, this Martyr 2 in the back, it still kind of remains way the heck back here. Do you think this is a mistake? Is he too far back?
I think that's pretty safe. If you look at its line of sight, you can see right down the road, and if you move it up any closer, he doesn't really have much recon up yet, and you just want to use a mortar as a defensive weapon, a slightly more mobile Pack 40. Just as long as he's covering that road, nothing's going to try and stop his stew.
Quick note, by the way, on the southern side, we are going to see a P3, as well as another stew, I think. And with that, I would expect to see Olizar's position take a very positive turn. Maybe you should check over real quick to see what both players are seeing. So Harold Alexander, taking a look what he's got, he's practically nothing here.
Yeah, he's pretty much blind as a bat. He has like
Very
a
disturbing.
on top and on the bottom, but that's really it. In the middle, he has no idea what's going on.
However, let's take a quick look at Olizar. Is his position any better? No, neither player really putting a lot of emphasis here in terms of recce now, are they?
Nah, it's not really. I mean, also as well, he has a lot of line of sight blockers in this map. You just have these very natural tree line walls that make it very easy to hide your guys.
Indeed. Now, before the game really got started, I think it might have gotten cut out on my side, unfortunately. You were talking to me about how the 91st Luftlande is probably going to go out and do some Ersatz-Truppen spam. Now, what do you mean by that? I mean, the Ersatz-Truppen, while decent, are very... Ooh, we'll get back to that in just a second. So half-track blows up, but not before forcing the surrender of that P3.
That's just a matter of seconds. Jesus. Knocking out the PZ3 has huge deal, because that was really the only tank stopping those tumblers.
Wow. There's some more RNGs for you right there, but at the meantime, looks like the Cromwell went up and down in the northern side as well. I think that was the Martyr 2. You see it now shifting on forwards. Definitely pressing the engagement a little bit more here.
I'm finding this really funny that Olizar's taking the tank advantage, kind of, even though his deck has terrible tanks compared to other German tank decks, or German decks in general, to be honest.
Indeed, and actually the funny thing for me is that right now we're seeing both the Dingo command vehicle as well as Bedford supply truck booking it back to the rear here.
Running an array.
I suppose that's one of the benefits of the rank there. Now, we're getting closer and closer. We're 90 seconds out from Phase C. Talk to me what to expect in Phase C. Is that where the Brits turn this around, or how does that work?
For Phase C, Guards Armoured can start ripping out Achilles and Fireflies, which are both... Well, they're both powerful anti-tank weaponry, but there's not really any tanks that needed. Like, the most heavy armoured vehicle Olizar can carry is 10 armour, so even just Cromwells can kill all the armour Olizar can bring up. But Fireflies, they have pretty decent armour themselves, even though it's just a Sherman. But really, since more tanks, if he has some regular Shermans, that definitely help out quite a bit. For Olizar, probably lots of planes, maybe some Ju-88s, more B3s, as well, but for Phase, and maybe some artillery for Olizar too, but you don't get really anything too crazy into Phase C for both sides.
Okay, so one thing I actually want to have you talk to me about as well is that right now we are seeing the Brits being pushed back quite significantly. In the northern side, we are seeing a nice little line of infantry. And that brings me up to a very interesting game concept I want to kind of hit on super, super fast. Where is the next kind of defensive line for the Brits? I mean, in the south, it seems to be this kind of clump of trees. Yep. Is this a effective one in the north as well, or no?
For the northern run, the tree line right now they're in is a good defensive position, but behind that, probably that little farmland area, and where the dingo is, just northwest of that, those will probably be the main defensive lines if they get pushed out of that next tree line.
Let's transition back to the south for a little bit longer here, because it looks like those British troops are getting forced out of the woods rather quickly between another P3 as well as that another Stu. And I have to agree with you, it's a little bit amusing to see that every single time we've had a German vehicle on here, it's been a very disproportionate effect. But it doesn't look like that push is going to be reversed here with Fallschirmjägers and Ersatztruppen, Grenadiers, going down in the face of all this kind of half-track firepower. Do you think that's going to be a nice way to kind of salvage the British position in the south?
Yeah, because the half-track's on a good spot, because the only ways you can actually bring vehicles around is along the southern road or along the northern road. If these Grenadiers pop out through the forest, you're just going to get pinned down by 7.62mm fire. But also, he can't exactly use his half-track to attack properly, because Olizar has his tanks on standby.
Furball in the air, by the way, so Stu has gone down, ammo explosion, but it looks more like the ME-109s to be hounded by two Tempests. And indeed, also, Ersatztruppen getting shredded, and another crew... Oh, jeez. So I think we're trying to get another crazy kind of half-track run.
Yeah, I
that
saw
P3.
Just knocked out by the Pack 38. Oh, Tempest managed to knock out Messerschmitt. And we got another Furball over Olizar's lines. No, he's just going to pull back Mr. Harold, which... Of course he can do that. He can pick his engagements because his planes are much more faster.
So talk to me, actually, I see a Lorraine coming on out. Talk to me about the Lorraine. It's not a particularly oft-seen unit, I would say, so tell me about it.
The Lorraine is like a howitzer piece that wants to be a really big mortar. It has... Quick
to cut in, we'll get right back to that. Two half-tracks going down, one to surrender, another one from a very, very quick Faust shot. I'm sorry, go back to the Lorraine. Tell me about it.
The Lorraine is a giant howitzer, just has a massive dirt gun. Yeah, will pretty much kill everything. 27 HP power is nothing to squander at, but because of that, it has a very low range of 1.6 kilometers. So you just have to use it like a giant mortar instead of a regular artillery piece. So it's a bit more risky to use, but it pays off in the end.
We are going to see in the meantime, ME-109 has gone and slain that Typhoon, so no more 500 pound bombs coming out for the British. But in the north, we are seeing a increasing pressure coming on out from Olizar. He's got 56 to 44 right about now. How can the Brits turn this back around?
Up north?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I think... Bro, he doesn't have any good long-range engagement areas. I'm just thinking maybe going all the way up north with that little tree field, orchid field, trying to move the Cromwell up down to knock out the water. But yeah, it's a tough position because he's all choke pointed in that road area. And as you can see, the mortar's already pounding away at the Cromwell, and the Cromwell can't do anything because of the range.
And how about the Germans? What can they do to kind of consolidate their position? It looks like they're doing very well without us even helping them out here, but what can they do to really salvage it? To consolidate it, rather.
Probably move up, get some more Fallschirmjägers or Grenadiers, and try to capture that tree line that we were talking about earlier with rifles and motor rifles in. Just try to slowly push up, and he's using his mortar effectively to sniping everything he can at long range. Once again, the Cromwell being forced to retreat all the way into the backhand forest. I just think maybe another tank in middle, like the middle crossroads area, just northeast of the mansion. Yeah, that'll probably be the next best place for Olizar to try to attack.
It looks like the Lorraine is trying to put fire down on top of that half-track motor pool that's in the center part of that clearing there. Now, why doesn't Olizar shift on forward with two more squads of Grenadiers that he's got just in that clump just to the west there? Why is he kind of hanging out?
Well, at that rate, if he was to move up, he does not have range to Faust those half-tracks. He's just over the 150-meter range, which is good. And if he does move up, he's just going to get lit up by the half-tracks machine guns.
Indeed, indeed. Just trying to point things out for perhaps some of our newer viewers going on right here.
Yep.
Does seem in the meantime, though, that the Germans continue their dominance down in the southern part of the field. Although I would like to see a little bit more aggression out of Olizar with some of this kind of like orchard play. He's literally picking fruit right now. It looks like. It looks like we actually have a big colonnade of machine gun fire coming out from these Tempests. They're making a gun run over at this Martyr 2.
Wow, that's a lot of fire on that mortar. I don't know if they could actually kill it. It's an open top vehicle. I'm not entirely sure if strafing it like that technically counts as hitting the top, but it forces it to fall back, which allows a Cromwell to now move up.
Now, to be fair, I mean, very quickly, Stu takes out a half track, and it looks like they're making runs now at the P40, Pack 40, excuse me. Now, taking a look at the Tempest itself, the Tempest does have 20mm cannons, 800 rounds a pop. So with a 20mm cannon, I think that would be some death and destruction now for the Martyr 2. If anyone out there has actually ever tested this, please get back to us.
Yeah, definitely, because the Martyr 2 has 3 frontal armor, and I'm guessing the side and back is also rather weak. So I think it takes a few strafing runs, but it is definitely durable.
Now, in the middle part of the field, we're talking about that MG34, excuse me? Yes, MG34, kind of hanging out in the manor. And indeed, we're going to see one of those mortars going on down, motorized rifles and rifles coming on in. We might finally see the MG34 get into action. He's been hanging out for most of this particular game.
But if you just take a look at the MG34 real fast, like it's line of sight, if the motorized rifles were just to move southwest, they could get into the building right next to the MG34 and knock it out. But if they keep moving just directly west, they're going to be in the open field, and the 34 is just going to light them up like the beach of Normandy. Well, I guess those are MG42s in the bunkers, but a machine gun's a machine gun, and so are these planes up above, jeez.
I was just about to say, oh wow, Pioneers getting themselves a surrender out of one of those Cromwells. We're going to see a Firefly coming on in, and here comes an insane air battle.
Oh boy, here we go.
Lighting it up, we have 3 ME-109s going after Tempests. One's already forced back, and it looks like they're gonna hound him. He's gonna go down. But indeed, we have a Crusader AA gun on the ground, and that guy. He's not great against a lot of things, but putting up a nice little shield of flak, helping out his units. But all the Tempests are gonna extend for home. One thing I did want to talk about just before we saw that happening, though, is that the Stu up in the northern front was also taken out by the Cromwell. I'm not sure which Cromwell that was. The only surviving one going down right now to the Martyr 2. But no, where was I going with this? I'm not 100% sure, but it was nice to see, actually, from the German side of things, to see a lowly squad of infantry force the surrender.
Perfect position, yeah. Just
Indeed.
wait the Cromwell rust in, then they go to force surrender right here by the fire.
And speaking of fire, it looks like Sherman Pioneers are going to get in on these motorized rifles and rifles inside this forest here. That's not the place you want to be with those guys right now.
That's a good flank, because he's technically attacking them from behind. And exactly like you said, the German infantry is much better, especially close range. The motorized rifle guys will guard armor can't exactly bring up any close range stormtrooper infantry of their own. So
indeed,
they're pretty rugged.
Indeed. Quick note, the Axis are almost 50% of the way towards getting a complete total victory here. They're actually at 58 to 42 right now in terms of map control. I'm stunned, I have to say, so far. I mean, looking at this, the Guards Army, you mentioned before, they're not the strongest division, but what went wrong so far with this game?
Harold has lost a lot of his tanks so far, and his big advantage is the Guards Army is much better fighting against other German tank divisions that can bring up cavalry. That's what the Fireflies and the Achilles are for. And against this 91st Luftlande, you can bring out a big Firefly, but it's not exactly needed to fight mortars or...
Quick little note for me in the meantime. Sorry, Martyr 2 on the southern side takes out 1, 2, 3 half-tracks super quickly. He's going to turn that road into a valley of death right about now. We see 3 surrenders coming out, and the British have completely collapsed on the south.
Yeah, and we've got a Cromwell quickly being brought up, and I think at that range, a Cromwell can engage the mortar, so it should be a first come first serve basis. But
yes, but I think if he fires back, it's going to be a very, very quick kill. But no, the Lorraine's getting in on it as well. If nothing else, maybe trying to push back through just pure pressure. I don't know.
Yeah, they're both rather even, and the mortar's going to get stunned up quicker. I'm guessing because it is lightly armored.
Now, not to derail the Southern Front conversation. In the northern side, though, we're seeing that the Brits have somehow magically taken 8% in just a few seconds here. What happened?
The half-tracks have rushed through and just managed to make a good breakthrough along the northern side. The Fireflies helping out, knock out Pioneers. And if Harold can actually break through into his top-hand side, he's going to be able to use that Firefly rather effectively at its max range engagement. We got Stug 3G being brought out, but Stug has 1 kilometer range, Firefly has 1.2 kilometer range, and it's an open field. Take your picks.
I know who I would bet on for sure. And looks like we're going to see as well, we see 4 more half-tracks trundling on in, looking to consolidate that position.
And there's 2 more behind him, so we got 6, like half a dozen half-tracks being rushed up top. I don't know what he's going to try and do. Is he just going to try and just take as much northern area as he can with the infantry, or try to bring him down below to fight in the forest?
That certainly is the question now, isn't it? It does look like he's trying to scout out with his half-tracks. Now, to be fair, he's got this northern half-tracks kind of sitting behind the corners of these particular fields. Is that a good idea, or is that just asking for trouble? You tell me.
I think he's going to keep him, just for precautionary sake, keep him a little bit away from the forest. I'd always try to keep every vehicle I have 200 meters away from a tree line so it doesn't get Panzerfaust, or you can get Panzerschrecked at that range. But if they die, they're pretty much a beacon to say, hey, there's a unit over here, which at least gives them a headshot.
Very, very true. And I think right now we're going to see we're having a collapse for the British for a time. I think we're going to see a collapse from the Germans now. So many of those squads. Look at that poor Fallschirmjäger squad taking fire from, 9 sources? That guy's getting...
Yep, that's just rickety wrecked.
And he is holding on like a champion as well. He's getting pinned down, but I think we're probably going to see a dead squad before he retreats. And yep, death before retreat, he cries. And that is going to give Harold Alexander 5347. And I think the beginning of a resurgent Guards Armored.
It's exactly what Harold needs to do, because the whole bottom-hand side, that's close-range infantry play, that's not his jam. Up top, long range, use fire support, can use the Firefly effectively, that's exactly the type of play he needs to do. I'm worried is, we got 8 minutes left roughly, and he has quite a bit of point advantage to catch up to. I think Harold needs to get that +2 fast.
Stug goes down, by the way, in the meantime, to the Firefly. We also seen the Stovepipe, as well as his attendant infantry getting slaughtered. The last one holding on the northern side is this Panzerabwehr. What can be done from the German side? I was wondering what could they be done before to consolidate their victory, but now I'm kind of wondering where did it go wrong for them here.
I just think he got a little bit too complacent up top, and they didn't have many anti-tank guns or defensive weaponry, and so he just rushed through from half-tracks, realized, oh look, yeah, there's not really much here, and now he got the motorized rifle / half-track spam pushing through, and I don't know what you can do for Olizar, except for maybe try to bring out some bombers and stop his push, because it's just everywhere, all these infantry, and there's just not much here from the Germans.
And that's something I did want to talk about. Ooh, Panther 3 goes down from that Firefly. That guy is just kicking ass and taking names, it looks like. Now, we are going to see a couple of Pack 40s way, way back inside those trees back there. Is that a mistake? Was that just a misclick? What are you thinking? And another Martyr 2 goes down the meantime, center part of the map. Sorry, go ahead.
I want to say either that's a misclick, or Olizar is completely pessimistic in how well he can hold his northern side.
Indeed, and actually, we were talking just a couple seconds ago about how much ground has to be taken by Harold Alexander to make this a viable game. MT-34, in the meantime, going to put some fire down on somebody? Yes, finally getting into the fight. But we're seeing a +2 already, and what would happen if we get a +3 out of this? Would that be an allied victory, you think, or is that going to be just another draw?
I think of a +3 that should just bring Harold into an allied victory. Right now, if he keeps it +2, it's going to be a draw. He needs to get another 5% of the map, I believe. Yeah, 5%. 5% to get the +3. So,
but one thing I wanted to bring up at the same time, furball up in the air, another ME-109 going after the Typhoon. Typhoon's going to go down. I mean, the 2 Tempests are still proving game here. Crusader very, very valiantly putting up a pathetic curtain of flak. Now, one thing I did want to bring up, though, is that we just see a Kubelwagen coming up trying to put down an anti-tank gun that got taken out by a half-track.
On the other side of the forest, which rather good half-track placement now. I was expecting that maybe up Fox Pine Grenadier Squad, but...
Indeed.
Yeah. No,
Indeed.
So, continuing.
Another Kubelwagen coming on in, towing another anti-tank gun, and it looks like now the... Ooh, whoa, what happened to that Cromwell?
Which Cromwell? Top or...
Look to the dingo. Find the dingo, my son, and you will find the dead Cromwell.
Oh, there we go. I have no idea, maybe... I wasn't... we can just see later on after the match.
That's more than fine. I just meant I was a little caught off guard there.
Yeah, same. It's a thing of replays. You gotta realize, guys, there's a lot going on. It's hard to keep track.
Now, this MG34 is being aggressed on by 2 half-tracks here, and I don't know that it seems like it's going to be a wet noodle contest at that manor house.
Yep.
Are they just drawing fire, or are they actually... Oh, no. They're not even managing to do that.
The MG34 can barely kill the half-track. So.
And now he's dead. That poor guy, he was resting on his laurels for the entire map, and now he gets taken out in just a few short bursts of fire there.
Yeah, just look at the mini-map, and you just see the amount of blue dots here compared to red dots. That really just goes to showing what's going on right now, and I think if Harold just pushes a bit more down below, he's using that half-tracks, he could get that +3. That's 65%.
And that is what I was just going to make the comment of as well. We see a Flak 38 in the bottom getting taken on out. So there are 3 units left on the bottom side of the map. Spa Troops, Grenadiers, and MG34. Meanwhile, in the north, there's not that much more. We're going to see a single squad of infantry coming on in. And I'm wondering, have you really been keeping track of some of the reinforcements that's been happening from Olizar? Because I feel like he should have a lot more requisition available to him at this point.
Yeah, I'm also thinking he may just run out. Well, he hasn't really used that many vouchers, so he shouldn't entirely be out. But he did bring out quite a few tanks, but you can't exactly bring out a lot of tanks as Luftlande. You just do not get that much.
Stru going down that firefight, continuing to prove deadly towards everyone, and now
finally
a 129. Yeah, at long last, really, right?
Yeah,
2 of them actually.
I feel like all of us are really disadvantaged because
there's that +3 we were talking about, 68% now in favor of Harold Alexander. And now this map is starting to look like some sort of modern art painting to me.
Yeah, it's just bits and blobs everywhere. I think that's really disadvantaged to Olizar is they didn't take advantage of the air game. He tried to go ground to ground, and it worked rather well at the beginning, but he just does not have the amount of tanks to fight off Harold Alexander, because Harold can get more reinforcements in the end. Because these B3s would have been useful early on.
Quick note for me at the same time as well. We are only a couple of percentage points away from seeing a +4, and honestly, I've never seen a +4, well, since my first game with this game. But
I wonder who got the +4 in that match.
I can guarantee it was not me. Anyway, we are going to see, we're coming into the final, 150 seconds of this game. This Henkel over here making a gun run at this half-track. Looks like a 5th grader picking on a kindergartner. He's just trying to get the last little bit of lunch money before he gets kicked off here. And with that, I don't want to call it necessarily, but at the same time, it kind of looks like Olizar has completely given up. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's buggered at this point. He cannot come back from such a curse. Like, it just snowballed out of proportions rather quickly in only the last 10 minutes of the match. A real good job there from Alexander. I honestly think he was not going to be able to take the victory this match.
Yes, that's definitely fair. I was thinking to myself, you heard the way I was talking before. The British were getting hammered. The Dingo goes down. Okay, well this is a British defeat now. The Dingo has just died.
Howard might as well just surrender, you know. Dingo was his name, but now he's dead.
Now, help me out. I don't play guards very often. They have kangaroo carriers, do they not?
No, that's Canadians.
Okay, so just the Canadians.
Howard only has the M5 half-range, which are okay, but they only have the Browning machine gun. They don't have the 50 cal on the kangaroos or M3A ones that are third armor, I guess.
Fair enough. So we're going to go in the last minute of this right now. So any kind of closing thoughts? I know we're going to do a little bit of a kind of debrief at the end of this particular game. But last minute. Oh, +4. There we go.
There we go. There we go.
And the Allies take the lead and the tickets now, and that's growing. And now we have a couple of squads, a little bit of FU infantry coming on out. And I suspect they're going to die just as bravely.
Yeah. I think Olizar really could have helped as well with more AA, because he lost a lot of his planes because with the Messerschmitts, they cannot outrun a Tempest, they can't chase a Tempest. So he needs to have an AA net to protect his Messerschmitts from the Tempest that try to knock out his Messerschmitts. But also as well with that with 91st Luftlande, your AAs crap. They kind of buffed Flak 38s a bit, but they're still not amazing, and you don't get many slots, and the best thing you can do is in phase C get 2 Flak 88s, but really it's just kind of troublesome because he needs to get out air game, and he couldn't get out air game.
Well, that's going to be it for this game here. So it looks like my final score for about 1450 to about 1175 is going to be a minor victory for Harold Alexander. Now, before we get too much further, you had this as a submitted replay to you. Now, who submitted this replay to you?
This was uploaded by Harold Alexander. I asked specifically for replay, and he gave me one, so thank you very much, Mr. Harold. I do appreciate it.
And now let's go for a little bit of a debrief here. So taking a look at the team section real quick, of course, we are going to see it's 1448 to 1176. In terms of the KD, we are seeing a fairly flat bit
very
of
close.
Death.
Considering just like what happened at the end, I think Olizar really had that early game advantage in terms of kills.
That's true. That definitely speaks very highly of what was going on. Let's slide over real quick to the kill side of things, see who's got any sort of massive advantage on that one. And I'm seeing one huge star for the Brits. Tell me if you find him.
Firefly?
Indeed. Bentley doing work. Dear God, how many is that? He took out nearly every single bit of armored vehicles, it seems.
That's 3 Mortar 2s, 1 Panzer 3, 1 Sug 3, and a Lorraine. That's an insane amount of points you killed. That's plus 600 at least, 700.
Honestly, you would know the numbers a little bit better than I do. Let's take a quick look at losses in the meantime as well, though. So, similarly, surprisingly enough, we were talking about how poor the tank and anti-tank game for the 91st Luftlande actually is. Pack 40, though, doing pretty well. The Stu doing decently well. Panzerabwehr, we're seeing a much more well-rounded in terms of kills.
Yeah.
And I could have sworn it was a little bit more one-sided on some of these, but I guess I was a little bit incorrect there.
Yeah, the Messerschmitt managed to do a bit of work with 2-star run, knocking out Typhoon and Tempest, but very even all around. The Pack 40 really did a lot of the work early on, but 91st Luftlande doesn't exactly have any crazy super units, apart from Fouchjagers, of course. They're all rather mediocre when it comes to the vehicle section.
Indeed. All right. So, any final comments you want to add in there?
No, yeah, it was a pretty good match, and I think, the Dingo that died, I think it died to a Pack 40, the one that we complained about earlier.
Let's take a quick look, shall we, on the history?
Or was it a B3? I think it was a B3.
Shooter victim. We see Pack 40 at 38-15 to take out one, and I think there's another one that went down at the same time. I think there were 2 dingoes throughout the game. They come in packs, you know. But all right, so Rang, as always, I'm super excited to have done this with you. Hope we do another one real soon.
We will.
Indeed. And guys, actually, there is a miniature tournament coming on up in the next week or so. I know it may not be...
I think it's July 8th.
I think that sounds about right. It may not be super attended, but at the same time, if you guys want to get involved in the community, it's a very open community. We'd love to see you guys out there. And so from me, Con Ulrich, and from...
Rangru.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys all soon. Take it easy.
Take it easy.